Dr. Francis Collins, a renowned scientist and former atheist, shares his insights on why many scientists struggle to believe in a higher power. As a physician and geneticist who led the Human Genome Project, Collins has a unique perspective on the intersection of science and faith. He'll address questions like, what makes it difficult for scientists to believe in a higher power? And how has his study of genetics influenced his faith? Get ready for an enlightening discussion that will challenge your perspectives and spark your curiosity.
Science is about trying to get rigorous answers to questions about how nature works. And it's a very important process that's actually quite reliable if carried out correctly with generation of hypotheses and testing of those by accumulation of data, and then drawing conclusions that are continually revisited to be sure they're right. So if you want to answer questions about how nature works, how biology works, for instance, science is the way to get there. Scientists believe in that, and they are very troubled by a suggestion that other kinds of approaches can be taken to derive truth about nature. And some, I think, have seen faith as therefore a threat to the scientific method and therefore to be resisted. But faith in its proper perspective is really asking a different set of questions, and that's why I don't think there needs to be a conflict here. The kinds of questions that faith can help one address are more in the philosophical realm. Why are we all here? Why is there something instead of nothing? Is there a God? Isn't it clear that those aren't scientific questions and that science doesn't have much to say about them? But you either have to say, well, those are inappropriate questions and we can't discuss them, or you have to say we need something besides science to pursue some of the things that humans are curious about. For me, that makes perfect sense. But I think for many scientists, particularly for those who have seen the shrill pronouncements from extreme views that threaten what they're doing scientifically and feel, therefore, that they can't really include those thoughts into their own worldview, faith can be seen as an enemy. And similarly, on the other side, some of my scientific colleagues who are of an atheist persuasion are sometimes using science as a club over the head of believers, basically suggesting that anything that can't be reduced to a scientific question isn't important, and it just represents a superstition and it should be gotten rid of. Part of the problem is, I think the extremists have occupied the stage. Those voices are the ones we hear. I think most people are actually kind of comfortable with the idea that science is a reliable way to learn about nature, but it's not the whole story. And there's a place also for religion, for faith, for theology, for philosophy. But that harmony perspective doesn't get as much attention. Nobody's as interested in harmony as they are in conflict, I'm afraid.
It is important to note that not all scientists dismiss the idea of a higher power. However, for those who do, there are several factors that can contribute to their difficulty in accepting the existence of a divine being. Firstly, science is primarily concerned with studying the natural world and understanding it through empirical observation, experimentation, and the application of logical reasoning. The scientific method relies on observable evidence and testable hypotheses. As a result, some scientists may find it difficult to reconcile the existence of a higher power, which may be seen as beyond the realm of empirical observation and scientific investigation. Secondly, the pursuit of scientific knowledge often leads to a focus on naturalistic explanations for phenomena. Scientists seek to understand the mechanisms and laws that govern the universe, often looking for natural causes and explanations. This can create a bias towards explanations that exclude the need for a higher power. Additionally, some scientists may have personal or philosophical reasons that influence their beliefs. They may hold a worldview that is rooted in materialism or atheism, which shapes their interpretation of scientific findings. Personal biases and preconceived notions can influence one's openness to the possibility of a higher power. However, it is important to note that science and belief in a higher power are not necessarily mutually exclusive. Many scientists throughout history have embraced their faith while engaging in scientific inquiry. They see science as a means to explore and appreciate the wonders of the natural world, while their faith provides them with a broader understanding of the universe and its purpose. Belief in a higher power extends beyond scientific evidence, relying on personal experiences, philosophical reasoning, and faith. It remains a deeply individual journey, one where science and spirituality intersect, inviting us to explore the mysteries of existence.
My study of genetics certainly tells me incontrovertibly that Darwin was right about the nature of how living things have arrived on the scene by descent from a common ancestor under the influence of natural selection over very long periods of time. Darwin was amazingly insightful given how limited the molecular information he had was. Essentially, it didn't exist. Now with the digital code of DNA, we have the best possible proof of Darwin's theory that he could have imagined. So that certainly tells me something about the nature of living things. But it actually adds to my sense that this is an answer to a how question, and it leaves the why question still hanging in the air. Other aspects of our universe, I think also, for me, as for Einstein, raise questions about the possibility of an intelligence behind all of this. Why is it, for instance, that the constants that determine the behavior of matter and energy, like the gravitational constant, for instance, have precisely the value that they have to in order for there to be any complexity at all in the universe? That is fairly breathtaking in its lack of probability of ever having happened, and it does make you think that a mind might have been involved in setting the stage. At the same time, that does not imply necessarily that that mind is controlling the specific manipulations of things that are going on in the natural world. In fact, I would very much resist that idea. I think the laws of nature potentially could be the product of a mind. I think that's a defensible perspective. But once those laws are in place, then I think nature goes on, and science has the chance to be able to perceive how that works and what its consequences are.
The question of why scientists may struggle to believe in a higher power is a complex and multifaceted one, with various philosophical and scientific perspectives offering insights into this conundrum. Let us embark on a narrative journey, weaving together the thought experiments and philosophical questions listed to explore this intriguing topic. We begin with the against perspectives, which pose significant challenges to the idea of a higher power. The problem of evil, for instance, queries how an all-powerful, all-knowing, and all-good God could allow suffering and evil to exist. This conundrum has puzzled theologians and philosophers for centuries, and its gravity cannot be overstated. The argument from naturalism further posits that the natural world operates according to its own laws and principles, making supernatural explanations unnecessary. This perspective resonates with scientists who rely on empirical evidence and testable theories. The burden of proof also weighs heavily, as scientists expect empirical verification for any claim, including the existence of God. The argument from inconsistent revelations highlights the conflicting religious beliefs and scriptures, which raises questions about the validity of divine revelation. Lastly, the argument from the lack of miracles asks why, if God intervenes in the world, we do not see more miracles and evidence of divine intervention. However, the four perspectives offer counterpoints to these challenges. The cosmological argument suggests that the universe's beginning implies a first cause or uncaused cause, potentially God. The teleological argument posits that the complexity and order in the universe suggest a designer or creator, potentially God. The argument from consciousness queries how material processes give rise to conscious experience and self-awareness, potentially hinting at a non-physical reality. The argument from morality suggests that objective moral values and duties imply a moral lawgiver, potentially God. Finally, the argument from personal experience acknowledges the numerous accounts of individuals who claim to have experienced God's presence or action in their lives. Thought experiments further expand our exploration. The God hypothesis imagines a world where God's existence is empirically verifiable, challenging our understanding of science and religion. The multiverse scenario proposes that God could be the creator of our particular universe, among an infinite number with different physical laws. The simulation hypothesis considers the possibility that our reality is a simulation created by a more advanced being or civilization, potentially considered a god. The alien analogy asks whether we would consider an advanced alien civilization's technology and knowledge as evidence of their godhood. Lastly, the limitations of science thought experiment highlights the possibility that a phenomenon beyond human understanding and scientific explanation could be evidence of God's existence or action. As we navigate these philosophical and scientific perspectives, we find that the question of why scientists may struggle to believe in a higher power is multifaceted and complex. While challenges like the problem of evil and the burden of proof pose significant hurdles, counterpoints like the cosmological argument and the argument from consciousness offer alternative perspectives. Thought experiments like the God hypothesis and the simulation hypothesis encourage us to think creatively about the possibilities. Ultimately, the relationship between science, philosophy, and religion is intricate and open to interpretation. Scientists, like anyone else, bring their individual experiences, beliefs, and biases to the table. While some may find it difficult to reconcile scientific inquiry with religious belief, others may see no contradiction or even find complementarity between the two. As we continue to explore the mysteries of the universe and human existence, we must remain open to diverse perspectives and embrace the complexity of this enduring question.